quiet suburbs of Kansas, everything seemed normal. Children played on the sidewalks, neighbors smiled and waved. Life moved forward in peaceful rhythms. But hidden within that silence was a scream that belonged to a monster. A loving father, a loyal husband, a man who served at church, and someone who could knock on your door one night and calmly kill you. Dennis Rader, or as he called himself, BTK, bind, torture, kill. For over 20 years he terrorized Wichita, playing a deadly game of hide-and-seek with the police, the media, and the people. He taunted investigators, sent detailed letters to newspapers, and disappeared again without a trace. This is the story of a man who wore the perfect mask. Today, you will witness the double life of Dennis Rader, one of America's most disturbing predators. Dennis Lynn Rader was born on March 9, 1945, in Wichita, Kansas. On the surface, he seemed average, quiet, disciplined, a product of small-town America. But behind those cold eyes, something dark was growing. As a child, he tortured animals. As a teen, he developed a twisted fascination with women's underwear, ropes, and fantasies of control. Fantasies that would later become horrifyingly real. No one suspected a thing. He blended in, and that made him even more dangerous. January 15, 1974. The Otero family woke up like any other morning. But by 8 a.m., their lives had ended in a house of terror. Dennis Rader knocked on their door posing as a telephone repairman. Inside were Joseph and Julie Otero and their 2 young children, Joseph Jr. and Josie. He tied them up. He tortured them. He strangled them to death, slowly, methodically. For Rader, 11-year-old Josie was more than a victim. She was part of a disturbing ritual. He hung her in the basement, not just to kill, but to feel. He later admitted to experiencing sexual pleasure during the murder. That day, 4 innocent people were slaughtered. And Dennis Rader had officially become BTK. Months later, the Wichita Eagle received an anonymous letter. It contained gruesome details of the Otero murders, information only the killer could know. And at the bottom, a chilling signature. BTK strikes again. He wanted fame. He wanted a name. He wanted to be feared. BTK wasn't just killing. He was writing his own mythology. Like the Zodiac Killer, he sent coded messages, taunted the police, and demanded attention. Wichita was terrified, and BTK watched it all from the shadows. Throughout the late 70s and 80s, BTK continued his spree. He stalked, planned, and killed at least 6 more women. His pattern was always the same. He watched his victims. He entered their homes. He bound them. He tortured them. And then he slowly strangled them. These weren't impulsive crimes. They were carefully orchestrated performances. And for Dennis Rader, they were art. Then in 1991, he vanished. No more killings. No more letters. Wichita began to breathe again. They thought he had died, or moved, or changed. But the truth was far worse. He was still there, watching, waiting. While BTK disappeared, Dennis Rader was reborn. He worked for a home security company. He got married, had children. He served as a church council president. He even enforced city ordinances. He was known as a responsible neighbor, a model citizen. But behind the suburban mask, he was still fantasizing, still reliving his crimes, still BTK. In 2004, 30 years after the first murders, BTK returned. Letters began arriving at TV stations and newspapers again. He was back, and this time he got careless. In one communication, Rader asked if police could trace a floppy disk. The police lied. They said no. Rader believed them. He sent a disk, and inside, digital fingerprints led straight to a church, to a man named Dennis. DNA testing confirmed it. The BTK killer had finally unmasked himself. During interrogation, Rader showed no remorse. He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He drew his BTK logo on a notepad. Then calmly, almost proudly, he confessed to every detail. Each killing, each rope, each fantasy. Psychologists diagnosed him with narcissistic and sadistic personality disorders. He spoke about his victims like they were pieces in his private game. He wasn't sorry. He was satisfied. In 2005, Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences. No possibility of parole. In court, he listened as victims' families screamed in pain. He barely reacted. And then, when it was his turn to speak, he delivered a cold, emotionless summary of each murder, like reading a grocery list. Today, he sits in a solitary cell in Kansas. No TV, no internet. Just his thoughts, and the legacy of terror he created. Dennis Rader didn't just kill. He deceived. He performed. He manipulated. BTK is not only a story of evil, it's a terrifying reminder that sometimes the people we trust most are hiding something unimaginable. A father, a churchman, a predator. Dennis Rader was a nightmare in disguise.